Kaiso banking right at your fingertips. Download the app today from the Play Store or App Store or call 442-8602, 459-4325 or 416-8467 for further information.
Good evening once again, and welcome to another Kaiso Talk. And of course, this evening we're talking a lot of Kaiso because, of course, this weekend, big Kaiso action. In fact, power Kaiso action, so to speak, is happening at La Sagesse. It's a big launch. Former Kaiso monarch, our serpent, Big J, the legend Smallies himself, King Darius. Look, the list goes on. But guess what? We're going to be talking all about that tonight and more, so keep your dials locked in. We welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 711, our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and of course, our listeners on K105 FM. It is a pleasure. Tonight, joining us, Smallies, the man fell on Blackett. Yes, indeed, you are right. Port of Spain, Kaiso Polis, West Indianism, one for my fans, Play Me. The list goes on and on. Oh, you remember Washout? Jonah get him a washout. Oh, remember that one? Well, we're talking Kaiso tonight. Of course, he's with us. Serpent is back with us from last week, and of course, Val is here. I'm not sure who else is going to be joining us, but hey, when we're talking Kaiso, we expect Kaisonians to jump in and drop in at any time. So, hey, we're looking forward to a lot this evening. It's time to say welcome to the guys this evening. We start with Val. Val, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Godfrey. Good evening, Grenada, Kairaku, P.T. Martini. Good evening to listeners on GBN 711. Good evening to all the listeners who are hearing this program of the Windward Islands. Welcome again to another Kaiso Talk, and I'm glad to be here again.
Yes, indeed. And folks, the man himself, Mr. Felon Blackett Smallies. Smallies, how are you doing? It's good to see you, man. It's been a while. How are you going?
Good night, Godfrey. I'm doing great. First of all, I'd like to say good night to the listening audience. Good night to Grenada, Carrico, and to the Martinique. And good night to all my fans, I'm feeling so blessed to be here with you guys to share some Kaiso thoughts.
Yes, indeed. And of course, Serpent is with us. He just popped out for a minute. He'll be back in a moment. But as we said, folks, this Saturday, the Kaiso Power Launch is happening at La Sagesse, and throughout the course of the evening, we're going to hear a lot more about that. But of course, I know Val want to talk to Smallies. He want to know all what's going on. Smallies.
Yes, sir.
But your name should change now, man. I mean, come on, man. After all these years, you're big in the thing now. You don't change your name.
I always like to keep the original, you understand? And my big in certain status, in the Calypso, but it's Smallies. You will always remember Smallies' name.
You always remember Smallies.
My fans love it too.
Well, of course. But Smallies, let's backtrack. Let's go back because I know Val wanted to hear. Let's talk about Smallies. How you got into the Kaiso thing, and let's talk about the journey. How you got started.
Well, first of all, I must reiterate. My father was a Calypsonian. My mother used to run choral groups going around and singing, playing mass and things. So you could already say it's been Calypso and music been enrooted in me. My father's name goes by Saga Boy. He used to sing with top ranking tent.
Right.
And following, these two individuals, because I used to stay with my mother, and at certain times in life, I live and go and stay with my father. So I wasn't missing out on any bit of any one of them cultural aspect. And most of the time, I used to take my little thing, make my little banjo, we call it, and I tell myself, my parents teach me how to sing so I could sing.
Mm-hmm.
I started writing up things on this. That time we didn't have much exercise. So I got a cardboard, I used a charcoal. I started the original way. And then I started putting things together, which later on I find they were called the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about the lyrics. All I know was singing. And so I decided, I will take this thing a little further. But one thing I could never forget at all, my mother used to tell me, she don't want me to be a Calypsonian. So asking her the reason why. The negative part coming by saying, all Calypsonian does do is drink rum. But my grandmother was somebody with a different type of attitude when it comes into the cultural aspect about Grenada. She used to tell my mother, hey, you have the wrong attitude about Calypso. The boy wants to sing. So I used to take a little bottle and a spoon and a tuck in it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on and go. My grandmother would say, go outside and go in a corner. So I take it from there, And afterwards, I getting more to like the thing, I seen what Calypso really was about and thing. So I used to compete in the local shop too for cake. Then a fellow they called King Coat from Grenville.
Mm-hmm.
We see who could compete with each other with singing. And the shop giving us a cake as a young boy growing up. To me, that is competition too.
Right.
So that kind of holds the interest. And during the revolution, I started doing things because, everybody was part of the revolution in them times. Somehow you go around. And when you watch over youth and you go see, they had something they call Scouting for Talent.
Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
So we used to go around our DC models. We used to be part of that in the schools. So he installed in me. And I decided to take it further to the tent. Well, getting to the tent is a whole story, because that time I'm a young boy walking in up on the transport. I hope I'm not going into too much detail, but
we want to hear this.
When I get to talk, people know.
Small is Kaiso talk. We want to hear. We want to hear the thing.
So in them time we have the young boys who used to have to walk. And once if we could get an audition in a thing, mm-hmm. They play by ear at times. By ear, everybody's playing by ear. Mm-hmm. When you sing a song, if they feel the band leader feel you make it good enough to fit in, they put you outside to go through the proceeding. But I always then go into the process. I always making it because I wouldn't say I was good at the craft, mm-hmm. but I used to take my time and do what I do. Make sure that I learn my song, the melody structure, I get to understand what is melody. And up to now, I have a lot of melody. I like a lot of melody. I like to twist songs. And from that part now, getting practice was the next thing, like me and Teacher Eddie were talking about it the other day. When you go on practice, sometimes the bigger folks get in practice and 3 and 4 nights you're getting practice, I could remember I used to walk from Outrummers in West Hall night, but it was a click of us there, come out and practice. Picking up mango in the road and sucking some them,
Interesting, Small, is because Val, you remember Eddie shared a similar story. Now they both are from St. David, so it seems like if these young guys from St. David, they had a hard time with the guys having to walk a lot.
And they walk a lot too.
Of course.
Of course, yes. And you see this thing we kind of mentally more prepared for the Calypso because I had it like fun and people keep telling me in my village, you could make it. Mm-hmm. You could make it. And I decided I'm not giving up with the encouragement I get from people, and they endorsing me and telling me what I could do. And I'm looking at the bigger guys from Trinidad. A man I really love is Winston Soso.
Right, yes.
I love that guy a lot,
From St. Vincent, yes, he's passed. Mm-hmm.
And I always had respect for the midget.
Yes. Crooks, yeah.
Yeah, and with me, Beckett, because people always say I used to be the Grenada Beckett, based on my voice, or somebody.
But all you look alike too, All you look alike.
Yeah, of course, people
look like Beckett.
From a different land, brothers from a different land.
Yeah.
And getting into it, I decided I'm not giving up. Well, when we had that going further, we started judge, for Calypso to make semi-finals. And I become a household name in Grenville and in St. David because everybody say like, he go make it. It's something good. Mm-hmm. If I tell you the first time I make semi-final, I couldn't believe it. But I did it. I did it, and I gave a good account for myself, and from that, I see what it takes. Because in that time, as you know, Godfrey, he didn't. Val should know that in Grenada, if you follow in Grenada roots too, he didn't have nothing they call financial support for this big set of college planting.
Yeah.
And fellas like that, he and them encouraged me. He had to register, and they encouraged me, and they gave me the push and time I could make it. And here I am today, make a couple semi-finals well enough, make the finals well a couple times well enough. A lot of people don't know too. That same song you playing, My Name is Pan. I did that in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I made the match, bro.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And 86. After that, 86, a lot of people don't know if I have been successful in winning an independence crown. Then 86.
Right.
Because I just go and talk about myself. That's one thing about me. Me, Godfrey. Val maybe doesn't know, but you will get to know me. I'm more like the dark side of me. I always like people to put me out there. So that's how I really start and keep joining through the years. Then I get Jamo was one of my close friend too, my brother all today. And he gave me a lot of support. I must say thanks to my cousin Portiera too.
Right.
I used to write for myself, and Portiera used to put me and say, man, I have a Bible at Caleb today. That's how you used to call it. You could sing from other people. You used to say, well, Sparrow singing other people's songs. Other people singing songs, and you have to depend on yourself. And I started working with a Jamo.
Right.
And then Portiera combining with both of them. Because time Jamo had left here and gone, and I wanted to give up the Caleb today. But with the help of Portiera, which we usually call him Jack, and he's my cousin too,
Yes.
He had been a pillar, strong pillar with me. And because sometimes when he gives me certain songs, I used to say, "You respect him, I don't like that one. I like that one." The song Portiera, the song on Port of Spain. When Portiera come with the song Port of Spain, he had other songs. Soon as I see Port of Spain, I say, "You see that song? I like that song, and I'll give it justice." And he was there real take me. Most time, and I reached a point where I tell myself, okay, I think I had enough. Although I have my fans and then I think I had enough, but still the cry is there from the fans. Small as we want you back, we have done something good for Grenada. So why don't continue? But I'm not saying, I used to say that before, but honestly, you see from last week when someone contact me and tell me, well, the nation need you back and we need you back. You have some good talent too. You never know what might happen with you from next year. I'm feeling quite different, especially we are doing in the interview. Right. I want to say I'm feeling emotional because the other guy will get too emotional. But I'm feeling joyous and I'm feeling happy to share my thoughts with Grenada, Kaiso, wide audience listening, and to you, Godfrey. And even something, and here am I. And I'm looking to give something, a fantastic job on Saturday night. I just want the crowd to come up.
I'll tell you. Let me tell you something about Smallies. In 1998, semi-final in Seamoon.
Yeah.
This man came with a song called Port of Spain. In fact, in those days, the government was just selling things from Grenada. It's like Trinidad just buying everything. Trinidad, they buy GBN and all. In fact, that was part of the song. And this man came in Seamoon with that song, cladded in the Trinidad flag. And let me tell you something. Look, the man, when telling you mash up Seamoon, in fact, I believe that when he went to the final, he left so many performances in Seamoon. The man had the Seamoon pavilion going crazy. I think, as a matter of fact, that is when the pavilion got weak and they had to get rid of it. Smallies was responsible for that. But I mean, it was just such a fantastic performance, and the song was so relevant then because everything was going. The bank, Trinidad buying the bank, they buy this, they buy and it was just so great. And I mean, Smallies has given some great Kaisos over the years, and I'm really, really happy that Serpent has encouraged him to come out and perform again, and we're looking forward to Val, we might be able to keep him going throughout the course of the year. What do you think?
Yeah, I would like. I see that he came from pedigree. Father was a Calypsonian, mother part of the folk choirs and so on. So pedigree. First of all, I mean, how did Lenford Telesford or Lendon Telesford got the name Smalley?
Well,
how did that come about?
Actually, but hold on, let me get the story, Val.
All right, so you tell me, how did he get the name?
His father was a Calypso. His father was a Calypsonian, and the Lendon Telesford you see there is his son, who is a Kaisonian as well.
So Lendon Telesford is my son. He's a Calypsonian also too.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
So he's Fellon Blackett. Fellon Blackett.
Okay.
Smallies. Mm-hmm.
My name is Fellon Blackett, right? But how I come by the name now? When I finished school, there was not much for people to really do more than mechanic or carpentry. But I wanted to be a carpenter, which I am today. I'm a builder. But he didn't have the vacant for me to do carpentry, so they sent me to learn mechanic. And I ended up in the garage. So everybody started calling me small boy. You got to sweep the yard to put everything small boy. And when I get into the Calypso thing now, I was searching for a name. So I could never forget a guy. He was by the name of Rankin Ijamana.
Yes.
And being around Jam on this guy, then they say Rankin Smalley. Oh, Rankin Smalley. Jam started calling me Smallo.
Uh-huh.
You're shortening of Smalley, right? And that Smalley just give for me. And up to the because Valen know, but and Godfrey, you know, because we from the same.
Mm-hmm.
I was very small in status.
Yeah.
I someone and slim like a bamboo, you know. So the Smalley stick with me. So Valen, that's how I come by the name Smalley.
Actually, I thought the Smallies was because of his stature. Now I'm hearing the mechanic story. So you see how the thing goes.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize
last week someone was telling us that he loved playing sport and so on. And I know in the Caribbean, we had this thing where if you're a small man, you could be a good dribbler and so on,
right.
that kind of thing. So I just wanted to know whether it came from sport or whether it was something else. So I'm glad that you gave us that version of how you got the name, because normally also, you know, part of the Trinidadian folk culture is that other Calypsonians would have given you your name, you know. Yeah. So that you come in a tent and people just give you a name, and right. So that happened and so on. So that it's good. But you came from pedigree. What, now that you are established Calypsonian, what part of that talent do you think you have gotten from, let's say, father and mother? Who had the better voice? And how do you see
my mom always had a better voice. My mom always had a better voice, you know, because she used to do high soprano, because she used to train alto, high soprano, tenor. I used to do alto in the choral group and thing. But my father, the melodic structure, you could not beat him for that melody, because he could have played the instrument,
right,
the guitar and thing, and he know how to twist his song. But for the voice, my mother, my God, she could have sing like a nightingale.
Right. Lovely. So Smalley, throughout these years, I mean, you said around age 7, you started doing your little thing and so on and so forth. And 85. So when was the first time you actually got into the tent? At around what age?
Well, that time I was 21, 22.
Okay. So it's been quite a while, a lot of years.
Yeah.
So my thing is, throughout that journey, from around age 20, 25 there, throughout that journey, let's talk about some of the highs and lows. What are some of the exciting moments for you, and probably some of the moments where you felt, you know what, I can't handle that anymore?
Well, I always like to talk about the high one first. You know?
Well, of course. Mm-hmm.
I used to, Calypso is to me like a dream and also a food for my soul. A food for my soul too. Most time when you see, especially when I make the semifinals and making the finals, and you know, the love I used to get from the people. And they say, well, you know, I'll keep on doing it. But I had my low turn too. But sometimes my low times, I put it there in my back. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people I don't know, I used to weep inside. I used to do a lot of weeping inside. Because I really had love competition, competing with people. Mm-hmm. Although I have the favorite, I think I had a record for coming the most last in Grenada, but I appreciate it most of all. But sometimes I used to feel, you know, not wanted in the Calypso arena by certain decisions that due respect to people, but certain decisions they make. And that caused me a breaking point certain times, because most time when I listen to my song, and I'm not a biased person, due respect to the judges, because we see what they do sometimes, but in my tenure, my time of singing Calypso, there used to be a lot of things, I know oversight, sometimes mistake, no man perfect. But I used to listen to other people's songs, and try to match mine together, because I like to compete. And say, well, if Godfrey could make it in the semi-final with this song, why I can't make it? And if Godfrey could make a mistake in the 10th, and in making it to the semi-final, why I can't make it? I could never forget. I did a song, and I keep on I was singing Flying Turkey and them. Galaxy of Stars.
Right.
Humphrey and the guys and them. And I asked the judges, I say, that I'm on standby. I said, so why is it I can't make it in the semi-final? One of the judges uttered to me, well, Smalley, you're young. Who we going to leave out to put you in the semi-final? Oh my God! And this was like, this was like a nail into my heart. Like it punctured me, but I still didn't give it up because I understand. The guys that did it bigger than me, the elder than me, and the more experienced, and they're very good.
And their name.
And I have to compete and I want to compete and all that, keep me going and I say to me, I ain't giving up. But yet certain times, I just feel like I had enough. Although all the people don't ask me, why you ain't singing? I don't really want to say that, but at certain time I get to hate Calypso. I'm being honest. I'm talking the truth and the world my ear in it. And certain time I get to hate Calypso because, I find to myself too much injustice. Godfrey, you could remember this song I did for Joe, Calypso Joe?
Yeah, I think
I am a slave for Calypso.
Yeah.
I'm a slave for Calypso. And you could do me what you want. I ain't give a kick about that because me and my wife, me and my girlfriend had a big fight. Saturday night, and why you feel like all the quarrel, Calypso we fighting for?
Right.
Telling me forget it. And I'm bad for Calypso. But I still have some likeness for the Calypso. I still have a lot of likeness. And the next thing you see in Calypso again, I have to say to Calypsonians who are on my status and come out from the bottom of the Calypso and reach up certain things. They go to certain top and them too because they're singing after they come around. They have to be strong because certain things that John Public does say too. A lot of people didn't know that. And a lot of Calypsonians wouldn't talk about that when they competed because it's something you want the support of the community. Certain things they don't say, especially now. I don't see the woman anything on Facebook and any certain comment what people say about Calypso. For instance, I heard something about Specky the last time and I feel shame and I know Specky's one of our top entertainers.
Right.
And how you could tell me that Specky too old, he must get out of singing and get out of competition. And you have people like Sparrow and the other guys which you respect, taking back and killing it and people value them so high. So we have to change this whole thing about our concept in Grenada and we have to love up what they have and big up what we have and keep encouraging them, Because if you check now, you have a youngsters singing Calypso, They don't want to be burned like how I've been burned.
Well, Small, let me tell you something. I hear, but I don't think that story is unique to Grenada, because Val could be a testament of that. Skatey had a song this year. Val, what was Skatey's song? Too old.
Yeah, you're too old. You're too old for Calypso, right? Tigress had one also, in terms of age. So that there has been a movement that have been telling Calypsonians, crazy, even chugged us, that he ought not to compete in the Monarch and so on anymore. You win enough, leave it for young people. I think a lot of people who are pushing that narrative does not understand in terms of they're certainly not looking at the quality and the caliber of the work. And that is something that we probably need to have a discussion about. It has nothing to do with whether or not Chug has won 10 monarchs or 9 monarchs, and Krokro has won 4 and this one 3 and so on. Are you prepared to diminish the quality of the competition or just the performances simply to appease a younger generation of people, right? And I think we have to be very, very concerned about that. Yeah.
No, definitely. Definitely. You can't, because look, it's a competition, and sometimes when I hear these things, I wonder, what are some people thinking? Sparrow said it. Age is just a number. If you're in a competition, you expect the better songs to move forward. So because a man maybe win 10 or 5 or whatever among the crowns, he should not compete, or he should not be given what is due, even though he has excellent material. I don't buy that. It doesn't make no sense. That to me should be a motivation for younger artists to start perfecting their craft and making their work better. So I don't buy that. Period.
I think, Godfrey, what is fueling that is the fact that throughout the Caribbean we have calypso and a lot of the art forms being funded by the state, right? And because that is happening, right, you find that the age of retirement, let's say from the public service, is 60. In some areas it's 65, right? So that you are put out a pasture at 60 or 65. But in art, and the artists sometimes begin to blossom much later than the public servant in that sense. So that by the time you hit 60, you are really maturing, or you're now mature. And looking to, go down the road to 80, 90 until you finish. There is no retirement. There is no putting out a pasture. But I think coming from a public service background and the state, you find a lot of people are saying, well, you reach 60 or 65, it's time to pack up and allow young people to think. But that is coming from that side. I think that the artist knows that you become mature and better going forward sometimes than when you are older, when you are younger.
Well, I mean,
there's definitely no need to put them aside and put them out of pasture, but allow them to continue and allow young people to catch up, to really learn the craft.
No, definitely. I mean, for example, as an aside, in the legal profession, I mean, when these guys get to 70 and 80s, that's when they are, the judges, the magistrates, that's when they are looked upon, they're placed on a pedestal.
Venerated the most,
the experience and all of that.
But Godfrey, what Paul saying is a true testament about, and if I go to get the reality of the check, because when I first make semi-finals, I didn't know about location, about monitor, how to check your monitors and things like that. But with the experience I have now, nobody could tell me about monitors because I don't know how to flick my mic. Right. I don't know how to look up for monitors. So what Val's saying is a true testament about it.
Definitely. But Smallis, over the years, and we've asked every Calypsonian that, and we're going to continue to ask them that. Over the years, we've seen, Calypso been placed on a backseat kind of thing. The kind of support that Calypso had before, it's no longer there. From where you sit, you were in it for many years. You sort of stayed out a little bit. You're back. What's your feeling on this whole thing? Why? What has caused this support to sort of dwindle a bit?
Well, I wouldn't want to blame anybody, but number one, we Calypsonians, we had to take a little blame too. So I started with we first, as Calypsonians. We doesn't be properly prepared with our craft. We started too late, and we want to come out and too late. Although we need the sponsorship in the next year again. Number three aspect of it, we're creating a serious problem. And if the government or the ministry or the cultural aspect of it and look into that, we will have a problem in Calypso, band problem. If you check, I can remember, although everything changed, if you check in all is only practicing, everybody will go get like a 5, 6, 7 practice in the village, will come out, everybody will support the Calypso. But these days when you go on in a Calypso to practice in a tent, one practice and you're here, you're good. One practice and you're good. And we know what it takes, right? We know what it costs them because of the financial aspect. To give the band money, to come out and practice and do like that. We just not have it, and sponsorship is the next big problem again. But we have to approach this thing as a collective thing. It's not just the Palestinians that we on Carnival come around, you know. We need sponsors too. We need to organize something in the school. Look at looking at something doing. How many youngsters you see, like we have a cadet in the police band, when I say that to play music. God forbid we want the policemen who did play with us for a long time and to be for a long time, but it's generation. And a generation will come and then song will go, but we need people to replace them by starting to train all in. You might have a few music school around, but how many young fellas we see are in the police band? Just like how they enlisting people in the police force. I don't say they should take that idea, but that's how I say it. They should do the same thing and have some people to learn to play music and read music from you. So it's not just everybody feel like when you can have a California, you come out and you sing a song. And if we Californian go there and we have to sing for chairs according to Sopan song. Sopan that's what they call singing for chairs. We go try to sing for chairs. Because we want to be applauded and we want to be appreciated to know what we're doing something. How many times that we hear Californian get an award, a plaque? Only one plaque I ever get into singing California from Godfrey and them. Nothing to show me grandchildren and my children. That's the only time I have a plaque in my house to come in the house and I cherish it a lot because that's the only plaque I have to show. Nothing to hang up on the wall to say I was a Californian and I was in. I'll now cherishing a newspaper with me and the front of a newspaper with me and my son make the match grand semi-final together.
Right. Yes.
I have this old newspaper there and I end up giving it up. But so we have a collective approach and we have to. It could change it. But it's a collective effort we have to make.
What do you think about the emergence of the soca? Because I mean, in the early days, when you know, people like Inspector, yourself, Jamo, Mantis, Wizard, mashing up Queen's Park shaking, you know, and we stood by and we look at that just, you know, dwindle, and we look at the numbers in the soca monarch just rising. Do you think the interests have shifted as it relates to the kind of music, or does it have to do with the generation, the change in generation?
I humbly believe in that. You know, I firmly believe in that because I mean we have a lot of different genre of music, but we are the younger people is what they fall for now. The kind of music they fall for, and I think they're handling, due respect to them, they are handling themselves pretty well. Because most when people make negative comments about them and I hear, I just stop them and I say, hey man, I could remember when we used to wear bell-bottom pants, right? In the early days, you see children with bell-bottom. That style gone. So they have to be crafty and they have to move on. And I see that they're doing a good job. It might not have much lyrics like what we used to do because the gone are the days. Imagine I make Toka Monarch with Port of Spain, right? I make that song is about 120. I could go and do that in a soca monarch now. The flag and a rag and I applaud them because I like to see how they take the craft serious. I mean, I don't want to call a couple of them names because it might be a little jealousy, but the guys in Grenada doing soca music, man, I could tell you, we gone. Especially this kind of jab reading to where they are kind of cagey around. All people have to do, just listen to them guys' music. You know, like I was telling somebody here in the video earlier, I say what? If I go in a young people fest, which I'm still young, right? And they play this hype music, I go wine to them. Otherwise, don't go in people fest. Stay home, don't go in people fest. You go to have fun. Don't go on a Monaco with young people like, what make you run? And you respect them, but I come to have fun and buy the ticket and I go there and I wind down when I tell I go to call and I come and get go again. But we want to say negative things about them. Look how the way they pants below the bottom. That's the style. We just have to talk to them. The music we gravitate to, that is what we really know. You feel like Inspector sing Amazing Grace and Master Please. You feel like you're going to sing that now the generation of children. They hype. They hype music and that's what bringing them to. So all I have to say to them, you know, continue doing what they're doing. And I find they do it well. I ain't being biased. I find they do it well. Our time was different music. But much slower.
But
soca, he's doing good.
yeah. Val, you want to jump in here? Sopan has come back.
Yeah, well, I know he would fall in. Marshall has put out his own thesis. You know, Calypso is soca and soca is Calypso. I think that Serpent dealt with that very well last week, and he would come back in and help us there. But I think that the two musics try to achieve different things. And I think as Calypsonian, and not to categorize the Calypsonian and put them in an old lane and soca in a probably new and younger lane, but there are two of the music that are now part of this whole Caribbean space, and the calypso attempts to do different things, so that it starts off as protest,
music,
and resistance, and I think that is part of it. They are in the 70s and so on, you know, it starts to the Sparrow, the Drunk and Disorderly and others. And there was always the Lego. There was always that aspect of the Calypso that is party. So that's still there. And I think that the Lego has gone over and a lot into soca, you know, kind of four lines and so on, right? But that aspect in terms of commentary and resistance and protest has to remain with Calypso and be treated differently in this time. You know, knowing that the Calypso is no longer the people or the poor man newspaper, because you have a lot of media.
Yep.
So it is challenging the Calypsonian and the writer to write differently, so that the audience, in hearing the song, it is not just, we hear that already, old news. It has to be repackaged and so on. So there's a lot of work to be done, right? And it is not just also a lyrical thing. It is not enough to just write good lyric,
right,
with very standardized melodic line or chord progression. So that work has to be done, and we have to begin to treat it seriously as music and a business. Because if you want people to come to the tent and you have so many things pulling them away from the tent because there are other activities, then you have to be willing to do the work that is required to bring people back in the tent. So, and I think it can be done. So, you know, I see Niles is back with us, and I know he touched on that last week when he talked about his son and so on. So jump back in, Sophie. Yeah.
Right. Good night again, guys. I had a little technical glitch a while ago, but I'm back in full swing. It's a conversation I've been privy to time and time again since I started. But Calypso and cricket, you can't leave them out of a sentence. We're losing cricket, and like it or not, we're losing Calypso. The essence of cricket and Calypso, the two C's. In apiculture or in bee farming, the colony feeds the chosen, whoever they're going to choose to be the queen. They're going to choose to be the queen. They feed that bee royal jelly. They feed that bee royal jelly. So what you feed your demon or your devil or your children, that's what you're going to get from them. Now, I believe we need to feed more Calypso to the children. Feed more Calypso to the children. No, as I said, my son only loves Kaiso because I give him that to eat and drink. So, with the advent of Calypso children, soca and groovy, which we have to embrace, and they have to embrace Calypso as the origin, we have to work in.
All right, we have a little.
I think we lost Sopan there for a moment.
Come back.
But but what he's saying, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. Yeah, but I also believe much more is needed. So Serpent as a Calypsonian is doing his part, for example, with his son. But I don't think Serpent alone, as a father, can complete the job. I mean, Smalley's made reference to earlier to things, for example, like sponsorship and all of these things. Because for example, to record a calypso, it does cost a lot. So much so that most calypsonians nowadays don't record.
They don't record.
That's
correct.
So I play calypso, and a lot of it now, especially in recent times, is a live version, maybe from the semi-final or from the 10th or from the March Gras. So there's a lot that has to be put into it, and I think a discussion at the upper level, at the leadership. In our case, maybe the Spice Wars Corporation and the Ministry of Culture, Cultural Foundation, whoever it is, needs to seriously take up their role in giving a lot more support to the art form and to the Calypsonians. And this is how, with the help of people like Serpent, who is nurturing his son, Smalley's nurtured his son into Calypso, and many others. I think we can definitely get the work that Val is talking about. We can get it done. I have absolutely no doubt.
What we need is to refocus, because a nation which is a culture is a nation which has a soul. And I honestly believe that, right? But you hit the nail right on the head when you mentioned support, because we have been doing this event. A wonderful event, Calypso, Talk Your Song, or Talk a Kaiso, what you want to call it, thanks to Miss Moore. But the sponsorship is so weak, people are turning it down. They're not small thing. If it's another event, soca or something, they go on. So we really need the support. But it needs to be a policy decision, a policy change, and a paradigm shift, so to speak. Because the Ministry of Culture, our cultural foundation, that has to be a part of the initiative. Has to be a part of the mainframe, if you want to call it that, and work along with the Ministry of Education, because forget about BI Big and Old already and Godfrey. Get it in the veins of the young people. When I go to current government school, everybody wants to sing calypso because my son is singing calypso, he's doing well. They want to sing calypso.
Right.
They want to sing calypso. So if you feed them that is what they're going to get, and that's what they're going to regurgitate, and that's what we want to have. Kudos to the soca men. I love them because soca is Kaiso. No matter how you do it, soca is Kaiso. That's a faster version.
It's soul.
No, we have, and I listened to Val. I mentioned the business aspect of Kaiso. It's crucial. Long time Kaiso was for entertainment. Now Kaiso has to be for both entertainment and attainment. As a matter of fact, that's how it was supposed to be, for entertainment and attainment. When you listen to Calypso, you're entertained, but you learn something. You attain something. You go home, you leave the tent learning something, getting some edification, right? And then you want newness. As Val said, you have to reinvent the Kaiso all the time to stay abreast with the times, so people will be interested. That is why I do not want to sing a Kaiso that somebody said they heard somewhere before already. You know, so they say, wow, it's interesting. That is what it is. If it got interesting, they wouldn't come. 2020 has taken over cricket. Soca has taken over Kaiso. Yeah.
No. I mean, there's no argument there. Absolutely no argument there. And the work has to be done. But I want to just, Val, before I shift gears, anything you want to jump in with, or Smallies?
No, Sina Serpent was out for the time. Let's go ahead, Sina. I was talking just now.
So let me just shift. And we're talking Kaiso, we're talking support, and all of that. It's what, the 4th of June, in a matter of days, on the 7th, Serpent, you are practically launching the power launch. Yourself, Big J, Smallies, and well, you would give us the whole list. But this is almost historic in Grenada for Kaiso in recent times. We've not seen a launch that early for Calypsos. And Serpent, maybe you can share with us the whole idea behind such a early launch.
Well, the thing is, I'm a Kaiso jumbie. Since I was 5 years, I tell my mother I could sing Kaiso. She tell me, "Boy, Moody, when you can't handle it, what you talking about?" As a Kaiso jumbie, there's no other music that is appealing to me as Kaiso. R&B, rap, Kaiso. As a Kaiso jumbie. And I would love to give back. As I told somebody, Miss Suzanne, who invited me to perform in the campfire in Guelph, and she wanted to know how much I'm charging. I say, I ain't charging you nothing. And we're not charging anything because it's my time to give back. You know, I have put in so many coins in my coppers from Calypso. Now it's my time to give back. But the idea to launch is to fill a vacuum, is to fill a gap, is to fill a hole that is left after Carnival is launched. Then you have 2 shows or 1 show, and you go to the Georgia and that is it for Calypso. So it is an attempt to keep Kaiso alive in the minds of the people. You know.
All right.
Yeah, we have a little tech issues. He's going to be back. So Smalls, maybe you could jump in here to talk a little bit about what we can expect on Saturday night, because you also part of that of that cast. Yeah,
and we want to invite kind of everybody to come on board. If it's a one thing you have to do, come on board, come and do it. Next year, you want to get the younger people involved, because if we make a profit, some of these profits will go towards the development of youth in Kaiso, in St. David's, and beyond. Because what we're going to do, we're going to report if we succeed or fail, and we're going to make an allocation in the event of being successful or profitable. We're going to make an allocation publicly through a press conference as to what we're going to do with that portion of of the proceeds, because we have to start giving back. But so we are urging people to come to the event. We have some fantastic Kaisos, and you know what is most amazing for me? Not me and not Big J, it's Smallies, Chubby and Tampico in Port of Spain. And we have Squeezy. My first name in Calypso was Squeezy. And I used to love Squeezy bad. Right? So the first person I had to call to come on the show was Squeezy. And Squeezy is 25 years old in Kaiso. Squeezy is performing like a little boy. You don't want to come up the stage. Squeezy will perform for one person with the same fervor and vibrance as he would for 10,000. And then we have the hilarious Darius.
Yes.
Darius is magical. I'm in rehearsal and I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying, whoa, yo, watch, fellas. And you know what? We have so much more. Rather than going down further outside and spend a lot of $1 million, I mean, one Caribbean, bringing foreign artists. We have so much good artists here that people are hardly remembering, So it's the first, it's our first of many, hopefully. And we're going to plan earlier next year so we can take longer to beg, to show people, to beg and to ask or raise funds to get it going, because we can't depend on corporate Green to do it. We have to find a way to do it. People who are supposed to be at the helm to help, I don't think they have been very forthcoming, but we did, and we have a plan to fight and make it happen for Calypso and culture by extension.
So, but let's talk a little bit more about that event. Approximately how many artists would you have performing on Saturday?
Yes, in that. Kaiso is really, really, really fun. And we have young who is in known for his soap. We have we might have Shirin, the lawyer Shirin, who has moved from California to the street as well. We intend to have Mr. West with a new country soca. Hopefully, he will be there. We have Big J, of course, with the draws and pull on the draws, and it's not profanity. Then we have the ever so interesting Top Cats. With two interesting ones.
Yes.
Rankin Marvin, who loves the mic, who loves the stage. Right, Sokare, who was a big one for this year, called The Knife and Fork. I don't know if you guys heard it already. Excellent. And Sokare is doing well. Teacher Eddie, who's always there, and that's the person who ushered me into the Calypso. So, I want to pay homage to him as well. Who else we have? So we have Squeezy, we have Darius, we have Electrifying Smallies, and he's right there. And my son Timothy will be there as well.
King Innocent.
The King is Innocent.
Yes.
I always forget Innocent. I want to apologize because I did the run of the program today and I forget Innocent. So I told him, I said, Innocent, I forgot. I am really innocent. I really know. I really forgot. So don't blame me for anything. So it's going to be a fantastic event with our big time MC Senator will be here, who has been serving us for a long time in Calypso. He's a senator in Kaiso. And it's going to be fantastic. Lots of great food, great entertainment, nice music, good friendly camaraderie. And Peter David say he coming to hear Pumpkin Eater. Ali Gill say he coming, he want to hear the Kaiso again. A lot of B-rollers coming through to hear them Kaisos. And I wish we could have had about 10 young juniors with us to impress them, because I really care about house up and thing out. I 20 years, I good to go, and I good. But really, it'll be a fantastic event. We want to start prompt at 8 because we have Taka Kaiso first, and then Stempo with former King Powder and Papa. And if they vex me, I'll give them a challenge. Big G as well. But let me tell you something, it'll be a show to remember. It will be fantastic. The heat wave ban is on point. The sun will be set up by Friday morning. Everything will be going nicely, and we have support from Spice Mass Corporation. Thank you very much. Whatever support you give to us, thank you very much. I don't know if I should mention some of the sponsors. Nelson Food Place down the road, who in 1 minute said, "I'm going with all you are helping." Dinas, who seen watch, no, come after 30 seconds. She said, "Watch, I taking that package," and she's one of our main sponsors.
Right.
I want to mention West Hall Estate too, who give her some today. Isn't plenty because it's a time stuff, but they were courteous enough to come on board. Daniel and Daniel Plumbing Solutions, who supported us 3 years ago, and he's still doing the same thing. Also, big up Daniels. Trios, who is going to give us some support. He's a culture man as well. That's Cutros. There are a lot of people. Those that are not on the ad because the ad came out as good. It was time, so ad came out a little early than when we got confirmation from them. Paddy Shipping, who has always been there with us. Flaves. Aban, who jump on board and give us a good support. Watch, there are some people that want to support the art form. People that want to support the art form, and if we keep nagging at them and tickling their fancy, they will see the need for it and come on board. But I want to tell the people, come and see. Wagiti Rentals, I have to remember that too. Wagiti is a love fella, but Wagiti push that event in the bingo big time. I in tongue this morning and yesterday people said, "Hey, I come to the event." I said, "Well, I hate on Wagiti." He was on GBN too, but I hate on Wagiti. If Wagiti say they're going there, so we go in there. So I hope after they come out in the grill master, not grill master,
King of the Grill.
King of the Grill. When they come out of the grill about 7:30, you ain't going to beat it. You just come right there, and enjoy more Kaiso. Let Kaiso be the top and let the Kaiso be the cherry and the cake. So by 1:30, 1 o'clock, 12:30, we should be come out there with a belly full of Kaiso. And then we have the classic Kaiso 10, formerly known as Roots Kaiso 10, launching on the 28th. And come out some big Kaisos again.
On the 28th of this month of June, right?
Big time. I didn't get that.
The 28th of June, you launch it?
Yes.
Right.
The 20th of June. The 20th of June, we're back in Malmong, I think it is. I stand corrected, but that's the date, 28th of June. So guys, come out. Godfrey, I don't know what to tell you. I wish caller could call me and tell me, Sapanda, I have a song I want to sing it in your in your lunch. It mightn't happen, but that would be nice. I like the camaraderie. Once it's tactful. I like tactful pecan. I like tactful pecan. I don't want to interfere in nobody's home life or nothing like that. I like tactful, respectful, decent, skilled pecan Godfrey.
Yeah. Well, I think, let me tell you, I think if you go back, for example, the days of people like Sparrow and Melody and all the guys, when you listen to the kind of Pekong, I think that was one of the things that actually pulled the people to the tent. That kind of enjoyment, and maybe Val could probably speak more to that. The olden days of the tent, how it was and what drew people to the tent.
Well, before Sparrow and Melody and their they were like calypso dramas that Lion and they would get involved in, so that it is normal for the Calypsonian to sing about one another and even sing about their wives and so on. So so that Madame Jacula and Sparrow singing on Melody, it's all Pekong. It's all part of Calypso. And I think that's the reason why Smalley mother did not want him to be a Calypsonian. Because, his father being Calypsonian, she know that space is not for the faint-hearted. So that you have to be bold, you have to be brazen, like a Brigo. You have to also know that you could use your not too pretty face to make a statement and so on. So that the Calypsonian coming from the yard really did not mind what polite society thought about him. He was singing for his people. His people wanted to hear some risky songs a la Zandoli, you know. I remember Zandoli singing at the mass camp. Rhoda had produced this show that I basically have staged, and he is singing the whip. And I think I mentioned that before, and Andre Tanka, who was standing next to me, said, but that is bestiality, you know. So that someone like a Tanka and where he came from would never compose or sing anything close to that. But that's the Calypsonian. In fact, Zando's brother is, I don't know how well you all know, some of Caribbean literature and so on, but Zando's brother is Michael Anthony, right? Who is a historian and writer and thing, Green Days by the River and a year in San Fernando.
Right, yes.
Zando's brother is Michael Anthony. And for many years, Michael Anthony was ashamed to tell people that Zando is his brother.
Because of the songs.
Zando is a brilliant Calypsonian. So that I'm saying all of that to say that the Calypsonian has always been aware of his position in society, and he has used that in so many ways without really thinking about how polite society sees him. I think now that the Caribbean has changed, you find that the Calypsonian thinks more about that. You know, I know that Sparrow, and that is one thing I've always admired about him, did not care for that. You know, so when a cameraman at the Normandy was up in his face, you know, so many times, and he said, "Hey boy, don't take me out, no, don't take me out," and he told him that once, twice, three times. The fourth time he was scuffed down, you know, and people would say, "But you know, look at Sparrow." No, Sparrow remains Sparrow. He was very true to himself, and that has it. So I'm not condoning a particular kind of violence. I'm not condoning a particular kind of smut. But I think it is important to know who you are and what you represent and who are your audience. What is your audience you're singing for? I think once the Calypsonian started to confuse himself about who he sings for, then the work loses authenticity. You know, so I think it's very important to understand who you're singing for.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe small as you can probably be a testament to that. I mean, you go back to the early days of the rivalries. For example, with the Jamo and the Weasel and the Mantis and the Squeezy and all of that. And look, people came out to Queen's Park, you know, to listen to the kind of rivalry and to be the own judges of what is going to happen on the night. And I mean, a lot of instances, Calypsonians fell flat on the night, but it didn't matter. What people wanted was that rivalry and to hear how probably a Jamo might respond to maybe a Weasel or a Squeezy or somebody else, and how they in turn would respond. And I mean, I can tell you, some of the old Dimash Gras, Krungs were one with the Pekons. Krungs were one with the Pekons. I mean, because when the Pekong hit, and the crowd went up. I mean, the subjective part of the judge, I mean, where is he going to do?
Well, Godfrey, you're sure right, you know, because if you remember in the early days with the rivalry in Calypso and the Pekong, remember, Mantis had his team, Grenville was Weasel and Squeezy, St. David was a Jamo, Tongue
Turkey and them fellas, yeah.
And the boys and everybody used to hire buses and come down to here to back the side. You know, Calypso become a wider audience now when people going on and say, I'm going to see go win come. But when you're going down in the tongue and that time in the Queen's Park, good night Queen's Park. You're going to back your side, you listen to all the guys about you know you're going to back small, you are going to back Godfrey, because that's my side. And they're waiting for it to come. You know, and that used to uplift the whole thing of the Calypso, the night of the marriage. Because you know you must get something from this guy that called in there.
No,
but Smallies, I think somewhere along the line that Pikong has become very distasteful. You know? Real vile and personal. I think it's become really, really distasteful. Yes, you could Pikong. You could watch me, you could kill somebody with a ripe banana. And that's what's supposed to happen in Calypso. But it's too raw and distasteful, you know. But that is my perspective. I think if you're a skilled Kaisonian, you could Pikong, and the person getting the Pikong could only shake their head because you call a name and you touch them without touching them.
Well, if you stop and that was stated, that's the reason why I stated gone all the days. But right now people get so personal. You understand?
Yeah.
Gone all the days, they're gonna make a clean Pikong and say something and everybody laugh at it.
I remember
yes.
I think it was 1992 when Ajamo sang Take It, Look the Ground. I mean, Ajamo sang, he Pikonged on every Calypsonian in the competition that night. He promised to make turkey soup with flying turkey. I mean, it was just serious Pikong. And I mean, people were going crazy. I think Sopan is also correct, because one of the things that has actually come in and probably put a nail in the Kaiso, a bad nail, a rusty nail, is the political divide, where it got to a point where it was just, you know, really, really bad. And I think people, one side, based on who is singing and knowing what they're going to sing about, they probably wouldn't come because they don't want to hear. You know, and that has created some problems. Val, how has that been in Trinidad? I mean, have you experienced that kind of thing with, because there are some serious political commentators in Trinidad in the Kaiso. The political divide, has it affected people?
The thing about it is that the terrain has shifted. The use of, let's say, spin and how to spin, right? The art of spinning has gone. I think as a society, we have that preference for pace rather than spin, and that is you see it in cricket. And
yes.
You see in West Indies,
yes.
You know, bewilderment, you know, when it comes to really playing good spin. So that it has happened to Calypso also. So that because we are, and sometimes we do it ourselves. I mean, Sparrow in Dan is the Man talked about, you know, if my head was bright, you know, I would have been a damn fool, right? Yet in that era, we produce some of our most brilliant West Indians, you know.
Yes.
Arthur Lewis from Antigua, from St. Lucia, Derek Walcott, you know, CLR, you know, you name them, Eric Williams, right? That whole colonial education and so on, we did produce some of our brightest minds and so on. And so that the ringer roses, pocket full of posy and so on, we tend to discard, and we wanted to be blunt. And so that we have reached a stage now where we forget how to play spin. We forget how to spin, right?
Correct.
And we have to rethink. Yeah, we have to rethink. So that in going forward, as I mentioned earlier on, Calypso came out of a particular past. It has that history of protest and so on, and resistance. And but everything cannot be just about commercialism,
right?
And creating one this one crop that says, you know, it is a commercial product, and all I want to do is to have people dance and drink rum, right? So that I think we are in that phase, and we don't know how to come out because other forces are telling us that is what it is all about. So that there's some rethinking, and in the Calypsonian it has to be central to that. He has to lift his game, you know. And he has to lift his game in a way that he could articulate changes for the space, the environment, the Calypso space, and not just be a passive receiver of whatever the authorities say. And so that I think that once he remains very, very, very passive and so on, and people are just dictating, then you don't have changes. But he has to begin to understand himself in this space and what it takes to lift the standard in the way that the Calypsonian wants it to be. Yeah.
Right. In addition to that as well, I think the Calypsonian also has to, and you know, I am not here to decide what the Calypsonian must or must not sing, but if you want to make, for example, in Grenada, Calypso in Grenada is like something you do on the side. But you're a working person, so you cannot make Calypso like a career that you can live off. And maybe one of the ways that the Calypsonian can consider is being versatile, the versatility, because there are some Calypsonians they probably write just for the competition. Especially when it comes to political commentary, because if you singing or if you have music specific to what is happening, let's say in your country politically, it restricts you from reaching a wide audience. So, for example, if you get called to perform on a show elsewhere, you may have difficulty selling that message to a different audience than in your own country. So versatility is something that is very critical to the Calypsonian as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, Godfrey, as you said, versatility with acceptancy at the same time. Like Volmin said, the audience must accept what you're singing, and you have to be versatile to twist it and know what I should come with as an artist and things like that. So what you're saying is so right.
Folks, want to go back a bit. In 20 years, right? This year makes 28th year in the big Kaiso thing. And I want monarch once. I want 6 independent monarchs. But the most moments I had a competition with Kurt Allen. Last batch of Calypso, 2019, and he said, "Serpent man, snake man, watch that, boy. Watch that. You have boy." He said, he's the last batch on tour, Kurt Allen, by the trade center. He put me. I said, "Watch what happened." He said, "I've never met Spoiler. But Snake Man, I've met you, and I'm happy for that." Kurt Allen said at them in 2009, that is maybe the most cherished moment that I've ever had. 20 years coming from, I've never met Spoiler in his tapes and so on. And to put me among the likes of Spoiler is monumental. And it just goes to show that is what as Val said, what the Kaiso is. Right, the origin of the Kaiso is. So we need to have that in.
Yeah, we just lost him.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it's critical. It's critical that we understand what Calypso is, and it has to start with the Calypsonians themselves. I think that people take themselves too lightly, and they form too lightly without probably understanding how far it can go. Godfrey, you mentioned something earlier. So before we close, I want to touch on it. I think you were talking about. I think Smalley talked about that the Calypsonians are not recording. That's one, and we talked about whether probably Spice Mask could play a role. So let me put something out there. I think that just like there are certain regions in the Caribbean, like Jamaica and Guyana has it, like they would have, let's say, probably a festival of literary work, right? Poems and short stories. Let's say short stories. And at the end of the festival or season, they would compile an anthology of the stories and put it out. I think that Spice Mask could also see the Calypso in that sense, that at the end of the season, you can actually record the best songs, the 5 or 6 best songs, and put it out. And that would do a lot for the art form and the people themselves, so that maybe one could lobby for something like that. It doesn't happen in Trinidad, but I think that it could happen in your space, where because the recording can go so far. So you don't only have a live recording, but a good probably studio recording of maybe the songs that plays from 1 to 5, or 5 of the best songs,
right.
However you use them. That Spice Mask could be lobbied to actually record them, put them out. Yeah.
No, and actually, Val, this is very interesting, because you may have situations where a Calypsonian may probably have one, extremely good song, so to speak, and another one that is not so powerful, and because of that, he doesn't qualify to get into the competition, so to speak. So something like what you're talking about will not leave out that Calypsonian, but because of that excellent song that he has, although he wasn't part of the competition, but he can also be among the artists with top songs. You have, for example, what we refer to as one-hit wonders, but they do have their place. They do have their place in not just selling the artists, but selling the country, selling the culture as a whole. Yeah. So I think that is a very, very interesting idea, and it's something that Calypsonians can lobby for. Definitely, definitely. You also have, for example, Val, what we refer to as performing artists and recording artists. So an artist might have a very good song, but put him on a stage and he's going to fall flat. What happens to that song? So that is a very good idea.
And for posterity's sake, you want the work recorded.
That is exactly.
Because especially as the creative art form is taking root and developing throughout the Caribbean, you want that recorded work. You want students in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to have access to a particular body of work. And if it's not recorded, then it's lost.
That's right.
Because we're living in spaces that do not take time to archive and preserve anything. So it comes and it goes and so on. So that we have to look at those things. And I think that I say one of the things that one can put on your to-do list is to have maybe the Spice Mask put aside some money there to record some of the best songs for the season as a means of preserving it and giving the artists a lot more mileage for their work.
Yeah, I totally agree. Guys, we're getting close to wrap-up time, so I want us to spend the next few minutes again, Serpent, talking about that show, because I think it's critical. Early launch, early Kaiso, it's a good thing, and I personally want to encourage people to come out. I hope I can get through King of the Grill early enough to to come by, because I'm hearing some calypsos that I really love. I don't know if you all gonna have any draws would be happening at the show, Serpent, because I want to win something.
Any draws?
Yeah, you have any draws taking place?
Yes,
you all drawing for anything?
Yes, we have some draws on tickets. based on your ticket number, you'll be getting different. Enter into different draws.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the draws Big J talking about.
Listen, we have a call on the line. Let's go to the telephone and see who's with us. Kaiso talk. Good evening. Well, we seem to have lost the caller there. So folks, we have a few minutes. The number is 435-2041. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can give us a quick call. We don't have a lot of time, but we definitely can accommodate a couple calls. Let's go back to the telephone.
And we can give away 2 tickets to Godfrey. Ask them anything about me or Big J, and we can give away 2 tickets.
Excellent. Kaiso talk. Good evening.
Hello, good night.
Yes, good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes. To be honest, I just got wind of the last part of the show, and the guy was talking about, artists need to record their songs, like Calypsonians need to record their songs and thing, and I'm an artist myself. And to be honest, I feel it for the Calypsonians, because now the Calypsonians have so much little avenues of letting people hear the renditions that they make. I think one of the reasons why the Calypsonians stop recording music is because most of the radio stations stop playing the songs. When I was young, they used to have a lot of calypso playing on the radio. I grew up listening calypso, right? But now you hardly hear calypso playing on the radio. Not even on some of the vintage stations. You don't hear any calypsos. So I think that we really need to go back to the tent, and try to drive the people, at the village level to come out and support. But first, we need to start in the schools. We need to go back to the schools and let calypso be a part, maybe, of the curriculum and the music and all them kind of things. This is just my contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard some of what he said. Basically, he was making reference to the recording of calypsos, and maybe the lack thereof. Why a lot of calypsonians don't record. One of the reasons he cited was that the radio stations do not play the calypsos, and I have to agree with him that a lot of stations don't play, especially the FM stations. They don't play the calypsos. I try my best to play as much as I can get, but I do agree with the caller, and I think that problem, and I think Val, maybe very early when we started the program, it was something that we spoke of, where
we talked about that. We definitely talked about that. We talked about having quotas and so on. So it's a question of quotas, and that's a discussion again that is taking place in different territories in the Caribbean, But the push to record is much more than just getting it played on the radio. I think it is important to preserve some of the work, just as I say, in literary work, where you create this anthology and you put it out there and you preserve the work, so that you have competitions where you have writers who may not go out or they do not have the body of work to be published by big literary spaces, Macmillan and so on, but you put out their work and you see it as part of your heritage building to record the work and have it there for posterity and so on, because you're going to have young ones who would want to have access to this work in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So it is important. So it goes beyond just about the record, the radio station, or even a commercial recording. It's about preservation, and the state can certainly jump in there and try to preserve some really good work that and save it from being lost.
But also, Val, I agree, but I think the issue of the radio stations playing the calypso calypsos, that plays a very critical part. Is a critical determinant because the playing of the songs this is what is going to help popularize the song, and because there are some songs they hit you immediately, and there are those that grow on you. They grow on you. There are some songs that during the carnival season, you hear them, but it's after carnival, with the continuous airplay, those songs become massive hits. So I think, yes, what you're saying is very important, but I also believe that more needs to be done. In fact, I have always believed that the authorities need to mandate as part of the issuing of licensing for radio stations, it should be made mandatory that a certain quota of local music, calypsos, whatever, must be played, and if it's not, the license could be pulled back.
Sure.
I am firm on that. And
I'm saying because you see, this is a business. I don't want to take too long on this, right? Before we had COT, that's the copyright organization in Trinidad and Tobago, there was ASCAP and others and BMI and so on. And so that when records are played on the radio, you have to log.
Yes. So
that wherever music is played, you have to log and so on. And those entities demand payment so that music that is ascribed to ASCAP and BMI and so on, you with your log, you have to pay foreign exchange and send checks away. So it is important to understand how the playing of music works. So that if you have quotas and you play local music, a lot of that money
remains. Yes.
To build artists.
Definitely.
So it has to come through legislation.
Definitely. So I mean, look, guys, there's so much we can talk about and put out there, and I'm really happy that we having these programs and having the discussions, because it is a form of documenting. It's a form of documentation, and these discussions, they need to continue, and we should have them there so people can hear and start thinking about things differently. It should not just be, all right, carnival come, someone singer to Kaiso, this person singer to Kaiso, and that's it. No, it has to go beyond that, and I think these discussions are critical. But guys, all good things must come to an end. So, Pant, I want to give you a small, at least the opportunity to make any final, comments that you have on the show coming up and whatever.
I go shoot first, Sopan. Okay, sorry.
Sophie, I didn't hear you. Is there a price? Is there a ticket? People didn't know. So, in wrapping up, please tell the audience.
Yes. I said just ask any 2 questions about Big J and Sour Serpent, and they get 2 tickets to come.
Right.
So they get 2 tickets to come. You should ask them. Ask Godfrey can do it today, tomorrow, anytime.
Right.
Ask 2 questions.
Lovely.
Not difficult ones, eh?
Nah.
Not about how much children I have and all that.
We can ask them with motivara.
Yes. Excellent question.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I'm going to butt in before stop and give his last remarks, and because I'm okay in mind. But first of all, I'll say thank you once again to you guys for having me on the program. I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful program. And we are looking out for decent people to come and support us on Saturday night. There's a lot to be given. There are a lot of chances that people could come out and have fun, come and hear some good calypsos. And I can't make any promises, but you know the kind of performer I am. Anytime I reach on stage and the music hit me, I don't want to drink alcohol, but I'm drunk. I'll be coming out the stage drunk. So there's a lot of energy in me. And yesterday I had 2 weeks still, and people just come on time. We pray to God that we should get a good evening and know whether to create any problems to us. But the rain has done, although it's in the night, we're going to have some fun.
And after your performance, if somebody want to know how you perform, so don't ask you, ask Prissy.
Don't worry, man. I'm going to manage the barbecue food. Don't worry.
All right, lovely. So, Pan, your final words?
Well, I've given so much to chew on already. I just want to thank you guys for having such a wonderful program. It's enlightening, it's edifying. And I would like to come on again to share the little I know, because Fidel Castro said, the little I know, the much that I know can fit about 1,000,000 times in one cornel. So what the hell do I know? But I just want to encourage persons to come out and get some good satirical Kaiso. It's a great mix. From slow to creative to serious to, man, there's a lot of good Kaiso. If you love Kaiso, that is the place to be. And it's the first Kaiso outing for the year. Amazing, right? Come and support it, and it will go a long way. Not just for this year, but for the next year to come. Right? So, guys, come out. And I said before, if you don't have money, come still. Make up your face, and we might get you inside. Because Las Vegas big, we have space. We can hold 25,000 people in Las Vegas. We have standing seats. So come on out and get some good Kaiso. For the people of St. David, don't be afraid to come out and say, I have to get inside it, money or nothing. I go in still. What's we say, I go in still. Mandela called me this morning and he said he want to perform on the show. They have a few soca artists that want to come and do their thing. We don't want to clutter it with too much soca, but it's with children. It's kind of children, and we have to give them a place, right? So they, trust me, it'll be very, very, very entertaining. Come and see Smalley's Wine and Squeezy Juke and Darius make his kind of, I don't know, hilarious motions. Come and see Sup and Big J and everybody is in the finest hour. So come out. It's a big event. Make it bigger by you being present.
Right, wonderful. Val, you anything in closing?
Yeah, well, I just want to wish you guys all the best on the launch, and hope that the whole of St. David and Chantymel and people come from Sotes and all over, and you have a really grand time. And you tell us about it again some other time. Yeah. Yes,
indeed. Well, let me just join the guys, folks, and encouraging you all to going up to Las Vegas. It's Saturday, 8:00. It's going to be Kaiso, and more Kaiso. You're going to hear from Serpent. You're going to hear from Big J. You're going to hear from Smallies, Squeezy, Darius, Super Ray. You never know. I might challenge Serpent in a extempo. You know what I mean? So they say Serpent should have enough venom. As far as I'm concerned, he ain't a none. You want more?
Yeah.
You want more?
You win already.
But it is very easy to see why they call you Godfrey. The word free kind of mean empty. So it is very easy to see. But Godfrey, I want you to know, I don't want to insult you on your own show. So I'm taking my time and go at me home. Let me leaving you and your partner Val alone.
So, Panta, I don't care what you say. I know in 2025 the king is Big J. Right. Guys, thank you all so very much. It was a pleasure, and we're looking forward, of course, tent launching soon. So we want to hear a lot more from the other Kaisonians and so. Definitely.
Yeah, Bob. Looking forward to see you on Saturday and meeting you on Saturday too.
Yes, indeed.
Once Carl send a ticket for me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Yes, indeed. Thanks for staying with us, folks. Don't forget, Saturday, Las Vegas, 8:00.
And what time you're going to give us these 2 tickets?
Yes. Between now and then, we'll definitely do that. So, people can come out. So, yes, folks, Saturday, King of the Grill from 11:00. And after that, we're going Las Vegas, Power Lunch, Kaiso and more Kaiso. So, until then, do have a good night. All the best.
Claimed asylum.